Welcome to Spoxel Spell Design 101. The unique spell system in Spoxel is based on Scratch and uses a number of spell runes which can be combined together to make fantastic custom spells. To start with, you need to craft 2 blocks. One is the spell design station, which you use to define your spells, and the other is the spell crafting table, which lets you actually make the spells. Once the spells are defined, you can replicate them any number of times on the spell crafting table or come back later to make changes. In order to discover new runes, you need to search out dungeons and look for research scraps. They come in 6 tiers and can be used to make a number of different runes at the crafting tables. Using a normal crafting table, you can craft different runes just using spell research, and they come in 6 different tiers. To get started, let's open the spell design station. On the left-hand side of the screen, it shows all of the runes that you can use in crafting. You'll start off with a small number, but as you unlock new research, you'll have a number of different options you can use. The spell runes are broken down into different parts. You have the spell shapes, which control the shape of the spell, things like a projectile, or an area of effect, or a beam. You have the spell effects, which actually do or affect something in the world, like apply damage to a target, dig a block, or dispel a harmful status effect. Spell mutators change how a spell works, and in some cases provide a penalty in order to reduce mana cost. You can do everything from changing the color of the spell to adding an extra shape to it, such as a chicken, to launch at your enemies. Logic becomes the meat of the spell system, where you can set up conditionals, such as if you hold the shift key down, or looping an effect, or moving the spell's current position, which can be used to do things like setting up a building. To start with, we are going to create a basic frostbolt spell. The frostbolt spell is going to shoot a projectile, and when it hits an enemy, it will damage them and slow them down. First up, we need a spell shape. And in this case, we need a projectile. First, we drag the projectile targeting rune onto the spell start event. If you don't drag it on there, it will change red and give you an error message. There are a number of different settings you can experiment with, but for the purposes of the frostbolt spell, the default works just fine. Second, we want the spell to actually do damage. So we're going to drag the damage rune and put it underneath the projectile rune. Once a projectile hits either a surface or an enemy, it will then apply any of its children. Since we want this to be a frostbolt, we're going to change the damage type to frost. You can also change the amount of damage that is applied to the target, but that also increases the mana cost. If we change this to 10, for example, you can see the numbers down at the bottom of the screen change. Down here you can see the damage, damage per tick, mana cost per tick, as well as damage over time and duration. This bar also shows you your crafting requirements that you'll need in order to create the spell. So now we have a spell which creates a projectile and damages its target with frost damage. Now we want to slow the target down. So we are going to use the apply debuff rune. We drag that and place it below the damage rune like so, and then we select what debuff we want to apply. Depending on what debuff you select, the crafting requirements will change. In this case, we want slow. Notice how the ice has changed to a slime ball. Now that we have a complete spell, all we need to do is save it. So we'll click save. We'll add a name, and then we're going to select an icon. And click save. Now all that's left to do is craft the spell. For that, we need to open up the spell crafting table, select our frostbolt spell, and as long as we have the crafting requirements, you can hit craft. Once you hit craft, it's added. Now you can see as we test the spell how much slower it's made enemies. Thank you for watching, and this has been Spellcraft 101.